Are you ready to quit drinking alcohol like I am? You're in the right place. My name is Dean. This is my quit drinking story where I share my wins and challenges and losses and all the things that I've been through and the things that I'm doing and the things that I'm going to do about making my life better without alcohol. Come along for the ride. As follow-up to the previous video, we're going one level deeper into our acceptance, into our why story. Why did we become drinkers? Why did we do this to ourselves? Today is about answering that question. And how do we answer the question? What is the process to get to the answers we seek? There are numerous tools to introspection, but there is one that, in my opinion, trumps them all, and that is introspective writing. I know it doesn't sound like the most exciting subject, but bear with me for a second, because this might be one of the grandest adventures of your life. Just a little bit more than 2 years ago, I had my last major blowout. My main job was getting intense. My side hustles were like dumping weight on top of me. My social life was pissed off with me. And by that, I mean everybody, because I was working so much. It was just like trying to put out fires on all sides. Saturday night comes along and the whiskey bottle was open and off we go. I carried on working while drinking. Sometimes that actually worked out. But by the end of the late evening, I was confronted by my wife and saying, like, why are you still working? And in that moment, I chose not to deal with it in a healthy way. Instead, I carried on drinking until I was blind drunk. And then at about 2 o'clock in the morning, I wrote all my resignation letters. And yeah, it wasn't a good night. The following week, I was doing damage control of all the stuff that I did that I could barely remember, and it sucked. The biggest pressure was that in my main job, that Friday, we had a content creation project coming up that was going to last for 90 days, in which of the first 30 days, we had to make content every single day. And I thought, I can't do this anymore. I've got to reduce myself on all fronts. So prepared with a form of resignation in my mind, I went into the Friday meeting to announce that I would not be able to participate in this exercise. And like a lightning bolt, something hit me. It didn't say what I had to make the content about, and it didn't say in what format. So I chose writing, and I chose to write about the problems that I was going through. Day one, I started addressing everything I didn't like about myself. Day two, I went deeper. Day three, I started pulling apart other aspects of my life, like I sleep in late. I wish I was a morning person. I hate the fact that I say yes to everybody. I hate the fact that I can never say no. I'm such a pushover sometimes. I never speak my mind. I feel like such a weak person. I hate that alcohol has been getting more and more of a grip on me for the last few years. I hate that I'm struggling with this. I hate that I'm struggling with that. And out it came and out it came. By now, a week had passed and I was actually starting to enjoy this process. There was no pressure to do anything right or wrong. It was just kind of vomiting it all out. And it's not too different from what I'm doing right now. But there was a switch after that week. I started to think, well, I'm getting bored of this. I'm getting bored of hearing myself complain so much. So, what's the next step? What am I going to do about this? So I started writing about different themes and different topics about what I'm going to do. Some days I would reflect on good memories, and other days I would think about how I overcame problems in the past. By the end of the second week, my writing had completely changed into a different format. I was on a journey now, a journey discovering things way further back and deeper in my life. And then one day, day 26 to be precise, I remembered something from my childhood, and I just started writing down that memory. I went deeper and deeper into it until I cracked. I remembered something that was so deeply packed away and so traumatic. And now that it was all coming up again, it was like feeling it for the very first time. Not just as the victim of that situation, but also as the observer of it, like watching a movie of somebody else and feeling so sorry for the character. It was bizarre. I was sobbing. I could barely see the paper. Each time I read it back to myself, I would cry again. It was just like, wow, how did I not know this was there? And more importantly, look at what an impact that situation had on my behavior throughout the rest of my life. The last 24 years of my life have been shaped and influenced in some way or form from a few incidents in my childhood. I can't share exactly what happened there because it does involve other people and I'd like to keep their anonymity protected. But I am willing to share my writing with you if you are interested, but that is going to happen in a more private setting. The point of all of this is that when I started writing, I had no idea that I was going to lead down to the point that I would unlock a massive trauma in my life. And from that experience, I was able to, now as an adult, take action on that. I went to the respective people, we spoke about it, we cried, we dealt with it, we moved forward, and it was one of the greatest weights off my shoulder. I didn't realize that within a month of doing that, I quit drinking. Not because I had had a big blowout, not because I had a big hangover and I wished I would never drink again, not because I did anything wrong, but I just felt like I don't want to hurt myself anymore. I don't want to be that anymore. I felt so free, so unburdened that quitting became easy. Oh, I feel it again. Woo-wee. If you want an experience like this, how do you get it? What can you do? What format can you follow? This kind of thing you can't force or you can't actually expect to let happen. If something like this even happens, you also can't predict how long it would take and how many days. There's no right or wrong. It all depends on what's happened in your life. But there is something somewhere in you that is hurt, something that is broken. There is some form of trauma that has caused this desire to want to drink, to have an addiction. And if you do commit to a process of journaling, of uncovering that, if you go long enough and you go deep enough, you will eventually get there. And if it sounds like, oh my God, Dean's so lucky he had that big break, I can say, even if I didn't have that, the quantity of other positive effects of those 30 days, I still feel to this day. And I have that record. I can revisit that writing at any time. And this is precisely why I have kept journaling since then. Maybe not always as frequently as I'd like to, but I definitely return to it when I need help, when I need somebody to talk to, and that person is myself. Because writing it down gives me my own voice back to me, and you won't believe what that can do for you. To the practical point, how do you do this? How do you get the habit going? Well, I can recommend starting to offload, just rant, get all the ugly stuff out, because that is often the easiest part. Feel what irritates you, what don't you like about yourself, what don't you like about the world, anything that grates you, that makes you angry. That's the point. Get a pen and paper and just start writing about it. The prompt is literally, what makes me furious? What makes me angry? What makes me upset? Take a negative emotion and start leaning into that. Give yourself an hour, maybe 2, and then the next day, try and do that again. And keep this up for 30 days. You do that, I promise you something's going to change. I do have a few more tips about this, but I wanted to start off with the story just of what happened. And as I've said before, I don't want these videos to run on forever, so I'm going to leave it there for now. But I will come back to the subject and talk about the exact process of introspective writing, how I keep a journal, what things do I write about, how often do you do it, what do you do when you don't know what to say, and so on and so on. For now, just know that this is an adventure and you are going into the unknown, and it is, at some point, it goes from dull and boring to quite exciting. That's it from me. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I'm going to keep doing this because I'm really enjoying it. And this, by the way, is my new form of journaling. I still write in my journal, but this is a new experiment for me, and so far, so good.